Most people buying Bitcoin for the first time are losing money before they even own any. Not because the price dropped, because the app they used quietly took 3% off the top and never told them. That's not an accident, that's the business model. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to buy Bitcoin the right way, which platforms to use, which ones to avoid, and the one mistake almost every beginner makes that costs them real money on day one. This is the stuff nobody explains. Let's get into it. Before you touch any app, you need to understand how these platforms actually make money. There are two things eating your purchase: fees and spreads. Fees are straightforward. The platform charges you a percentage every time you buy or sell. Simple enough. Spreads are sneakier. That's the gap between what Bitcoin is actually worth right now and what the app charges you for it. Some platforms show you a zero fee button and then just quietly inflate the price you're buying at by 1 to 2%. You never see a fee line item. You just get less Bitcoin. Zero fee does not mean free. Here's a real example. You open Cash App, you hit buy. It feels instant, easy, clean. What you don't see is that the spread on that purchase is often between 1.5 and 3%, depending on market conditions. On a $500 purchase, that's up to $15 gone before you own a single Satoshi. Do that every month for a year, and you've handed them $180 for the privilege of tapping a button. That's money that could have been Bitcoin. So how do you avoid it? Let's talk about what actually works. For most beginners in the US, the two platforms worth your time are Coinbase Advanced and Kraken. Here's the difference. Coinbase. Everyone knows it. It's the most trusted exchange in the US. Regulated, publicly traded, been around since 2012. If you're new and you want something that isn't going to disappear overnight, Coinbase is the answer. But here's the thing. There are two versions of Coinbase. The regular Coinbase app, the one with the big colourful buy button, charges you between 1.5 and 2.5% per transaction. That's the tourist price. That's what they charge people who don't know better. Coinbase Advanced is the exact same platform, same account, same money, free to use. And the fees drop to 0.6% or lower. You just have to know it exists and switch to it. Most people never do. That one change alone cuts your fees by up to 75% on every single purchase, forever. Kraken is the other solid option. Slightly more intimidating interface, but fees start at 0.25% for makers, meaning if you place a limit order instead of a market order, you're paying basically nothing. Strong security track record, used by serious investors. Worth learning if you're planning to be in this for the long haul. Now, what about Cash App, Robinhood, PayPal? Convenient, expensive. And in some cases, you don't actually own the Bitcoin. Robinhood for a long time didn't let you withdraw your Bitcoin to a personal wallet. You could see a number go up on a screen, but you couldn't actually move your coins. That's not Bitcoin ownership. That's a Bitcoin-flavored number in someone else's database. Robinhood has improved on this, but their fees and spreads still run around 0.55% plus spread. And for a beginner who doesn't know to check, the total cost often ends up higher than it looks. PayPal is even worse. High spreads, limited withdrawal options, and you're locked into their ecosystem. Hard pass. Alright, you've picked a platform, you've made an account, you've verified your identity. Yes, they all require that. It's called KYC. It's just how regulated exchanges work. Not optional, not a scam, just the law. Now, how do you fund it? Do not use a debit card if you can avoid it. Debit card purchases are fast and easy, and they cost you 2 to 4% in processing fees on most platforms. Bank transfer, ACH, is slower, takes 1 to 3 business days, and costs almost nothing. If you're not in a rush, and you shouldn't be, Bitcoin isn't going anywhere, use the bank transfer every time. Next, when you're on the platform, find the actual trading interface, not the buy instantly button, not the simplified view. The spot market, the place that looks more complicated than you expected. That's where the real prices are. That's where the fees are honest. Place a limit order instead of a market order. A market order says, give me Bitcoin right now at whatever price. A limit order says, give me Bitcoin when the price hits this number. Limit orders are filled as maker orders, which means lower fees, sometimes significantly lower. Bank transfer, spot market, limit order. 3 steps. That's how you stop leaving money on the table. Now, here's where it gets important, and most beginner videos skip this part entirely. When you buy Bitcoin on an exchange, you don't really own it yet. The exchange holds the private keys, the actual proof of ownership, and you're trusting them to hold it for you. There's a saying in crypto, not your keys, not your coins. In 2022, FTX, one of the biggest exchanges in the world, collapsed overnight. People who had Bitcoin sitting on that platform lost access to everything. People who had moved their Bitcoin to personal wallets, fine, untouched. Now, if you're just starting out and you're buying small amounts, keeping it on Coinbase or Kraken is probably fine. These are regulated US companies. They're not FTX. The risk is real, but manageable at small amounts. But as your stack grows, you want to move it to a hardware wallet, something like a ledger or a Trezor, a physical device that holds your keys offline where nobody can touch them. That's a whole separate video, but I want you to know it exists, because building a stack on someone else's platform and never thinking about custody, that's how people get hurt. For now, pick a good exchange, use it right, and understand that moving to self-custody is the next step once you've got your footing. The goal is to actually own what you're building. Look, I know this stuff can feel like a lot when you're starting from zero. School didn't teach you this. Your parents probably didn't either, because they didn't have to deal with inflation eating their savings the same way we do. The system has changed, and the playbook hasn't caught up. That's not your fault. But here's the thing, every dollar you don't lose to a lazy platform choice is a dollar that stays in your stack. Every month you DCA into a low-fee exchange instead of tapping the easy button on an overpriced app, that adds up. Quietly, consistently, without you having to do anything smart. You don't need to be a genius to build wealth. You just need to stop making avoidable mistakes. Drop a comment. What platform are you using right now to buy crypto? I'm genuinely curious what most of you are working with, and if you're getting wrecked on fees without knowing it, let's figure it out. The life you want is buildable. It just starts with not handing 3% of it to an app every time you try. Use Coinbase Advanced or Kraken. Fund with a bank transfer. Use the spot market. Place limit orders. Keep fees under 0.6%. Move to self-custody when you're ready. That's it. That's the whole video. Stop using the easy button. It's costing you. Subscribe if you want to keep building. See you next time.